folks, and welcome to the SEV Leadership and Business Solutions webcast. My name's Paul Raggio.
And I'm Lisa Raggio, and we are very happy to be here today, tomorrow, and in the future to help you find your way. We're so proud to be partnering with The Signal to be giving you some substantive, great conversations with community leaders and movers and shakers. And we are so excited that we are going to be having co-owners of Calajo Catering in Santa Clarita Valley join us today to talk about their why and their experience in the food industry and why it's important for us to be eating their food. So before that, Paul has a brief announcement.
We offer a complimentary business health checkup, and it's something you ought to take advantage of. We provide a questionnaire, and we have different types of questionnaires, and they range from anywhere from 40 to 100 questions, but they really cover the whole breadth of your business, from your vision, your mission, to what you're providing to your clientele or customers, what your financials ought to be looking like, your unique selling proposition, marketing plan, team, and we ask that you fill out the questionnaire. You come back and sit with us for 60 to 90 minutes. It doesn't cost you a thing. It's free, but we assure you that you'll walk out of our office with value. So this is something you should take advantage of no matter where you are in your business life cycle.
Excellent. So we are so excited to be talking to co-owners of Calajo Catering, Chef Carlo and Jennifer Avancena, and they have over 40 years of hotel catering and restaurant experience. In an unprecedented time, Carlo and Jennifer are taking their skills and talents learned from working in various mid-tier to luxury Los Angeles hotels, coupled with what is most important to them, sharing their Filipinx American culture. At Calajo Catering, they are building community through Filipinx inspired cuisine. And this is so fun for Paul and I today because we are foodies and we have a history of being raised with parents and a mother who pays special attention to food preparation and what we eat. So we're one of those families that we talk about food while we're eating. So we start every conversation with why. Why did you go into business doing what you're doing? And what are you doing to fulfill your why?
Yes, definitely. Hi, thank you for having us here. So at Calajo Catering, our why is really stems from our culture, our family. I believe a lot of the things that we do, say, learned, everything from when I was little to now, the way I present myself professionally and personally, all stems from culture. It's really due to my grandmother, and culture isn't necessarily always about the dances or the history, but culture to me too is behavior, character in some ways, practices, daily practices. So growing up, Carlo and I come from big families. We would often have large family gatherings, and on my mother's side, there's 14 siblings, so I have over 20 cousins. So just immediate family alone is a party. So we would have gatherings almost every weekend because I was fortunate enough to have my grandmother with us in our house. So, of course, they would visit our grandmother. So it's a party every weekend. And so learning how to host, it kind of just grew into my professional career in hospitality. So, and I think the same thing with Carlo. He's more of the chef. I'm more of the front of the house. He's more of the chef back of the house. So he can share his
exactly.
Why.
So again, hello Paul, hello Lisa. Thank you for having us on again. The why for us also is why we started Calajo was during the pandemic. We unfortunately lost both our jobs. Jennifer was a senior catering manager in downtown LA. I was a chef in Santa Monica at a hotel. Unfortunately, when the pandemic hit, we both lost our jobs. So one of the whys was the pandemic, but you know what? This has always been brewing. We've been always wanting to do this. So when it happened during the pandemic, we're just like, the question was, why not? Because at that same time, it's like we had really nothing to lose, and we really wanted to start at relatively slow, and then we were able to do it through the pandemic, fortunately. And then also the why for me is really I enjoy family. So just like Jennifer touched, we have big families. So for me, it's always about trying to give a part of my life to other people by starting this business, by introducing them to not only my family, but really introducing and bring them into our community and into our family as well. So that's also why we also started Calajo, was really to bring a family-based business, centered around the community itself.
We talk a lot with business owners and our own clientele about your purpose and values and how important they are to emotionally connect with the public and your clientele. And clearly, you have a great why, your purpose for being in business. And Jennifer, your discussion on values really resonates with us, not only
Mm-hmm.
because of the family, same with us, our family is steeped in values, but it's so important from a business standpoint that those values are projected and conveyed to your clientele. Uh, Again, it brings an emotional connection and it gives them a reason to bring you on board as a trusted partner and whatever, especially if they're having family gatherings or
Mm-hmm.
however else they're going to use your catering and entertainment services. So talk a little bit about it's always exciting talking
Yeah.
to new business owners and where they're headed. Talk a little bit about your vision and where you're headed. Where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years with this new adventure that you're on?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So, our big going
Big.
back to the vision is, because we are very community centered, um, coming up in as a small business owner in a pandemic was kind of unusual. I think that's for a lot of people. But I think what was so scary pre-pandemic, just in general, opening your own business is the risk, the cost, you know, making sure you're going through the correct procedures and permitting and all that. And in a way, the pandemic kind of alleviated that because of this whole unusual time. So I think that for me personally, it was really knowing that we can do what we do, what we're doing now. There, coming in, there's a lot of insecurity, and so going through the past year, I've felt nothing but support. I feel like, we had such a great support system, and the fact, we are growing our community. So I want to be able to see other small business owners and younger generation. I want them to see that they can do it too, because growing up, realistically, I didn't see a lot of Asian owned business, or I didn't see a lot of people that looked like me on television, and I didn't grow up in an environment where there was a lot of people that looked like me. So I wanted to provide doing what we're doing. I want to provide inspiration to the younger generation, to people of color, underprivileged folks, that they can, and they have the ability to do whatever they want to do, especially if they want to become a small business owner. So the way that translates to our business is that, we want to get to a point where we're obviously self-sustainable, but we also want to go out there and purchase our own land, purchase our own building, and own and provide a resource to the community, where that means, having an open kitchen for up and coming chefs or restaurant owners, or, having conference rooms so that we have a resource for those starting out to have a place to meet. So, and then obviously, of course, having a resource to the youth. Luckily in Santa Clarita, we have a lot of great recreational programs,
Mhm.
but I'd like to see something more, centered on the business end of things, where um, it's where it encourages entrepreneurism and professional development at a younger age.
Mhm.
Wow, we're excited about your future. We
Mhm.
we speak the same language, and you, like, probably a third of the businesses out there that survived COVID. You were created during COVID. but you found resiliency, right? And that's the other side of the coin when you're going through something that's been such a trial for us in this last year and a half. And you also experienced forced evolution. You may
Mm-hmm.
not have experienced what you did in launching your business otherwise,
Right.
but you dug deep. And then when you look at, in hindsight, what happened, you're talking about, Paul and I talk about this a lot when we're talking to our business owners, that the vision that you have is for ultimately the greater vision of what it is you want to personally achieve. The business that you have is the mechanism in which it takes you to fulfilling that personal dream. So
Correct.
we love hearing about you. You are both talking about the heart of being an entrepreneur, and then the legacy. When you're talking about what it is that you want to do for the community, and that resonates with both of us. We're very service driven, believe in servant leadership. We were raised with wonderful models in regards to our parents and what they did for community. But you're talking about impact, and you're talking about legacy. And that's so exciting. I mean, that gets people, those are the kinds of things that when you start to message that out to your public, because it's the food and it's the other vision in which you want to lead and make a difference.
Right.
Of course.
Right.
And then, honestly speaking, I mean, there are definitely people like us, who are striving to be better and to do what they love. And then, just unfortunately, they're just trying to find a space. They're trying to find a community, because it's so difficult just for one business owner to make it. Usually, you always collaborate with other business owners. You're able to at least get some feedback from them. How's the community? I mean, what's driving your sales? What's not driving your sales? So, for me, just like Jennifer said, is that's what we really need, is a center where we could really communicate and really intelligently have a dialogue in regards to how we can really sustain our business and really how we can really grow it. So for me, that's exactly what I see Calajo in the future, is we're able to at least build a community where we're able to at least grow more businesses, not just ours, but other businesses as well.
Yeah, I mean, and it's truly remarkable that you have that type of concept going into starting your business. A lot of times, business owners will just get stuck on what they have to be able to produce or serve, and they aren't thinking bigger picture, which is really important to the longevity of your business itself. We met at the Chamber Mixer. It's a great place to meet, network. It's a great place to be able to talk to others about your business. And like you were just saying, Chef, you know, how are they doing? What type of things are they doing? So you can pick up an awful lot from doing that. One of the discussions we had at the Chamber Mixer is especially when you're starting a business, get the things right, get the foundation right. and
Yes.
and we often talk to our clientele that when you do that, it just helps you so much more in terms of scaling in the future. And especially if you have some big dreams like what you two are talking about, you get the foundation right, and then you actually incrementally build as you continue to grow and scale. Becomes really important.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about you've just started, you started in the pandemic. What were some of the immediate challenges you had that you had to overcome? The audience always likes to hear this
Of
and
course.
they can relate to it, but what were those challenges and what did you do to overcome them?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things was sourcing ingredients. So ube, which is ube is our yam, there was a period because everyone started baking. And then everyone started baking Filipino pastries and whatnot, and that included ube extract. And there was a time last year where it was very difficult to find it in the Asian markets or even online, and if you did find it, it's extremely expensive. Um, so that was one of the challenges. I actually had to source some ingredients as far as the East Coast, where I reached out to friends on the East Coast in Vegas, to ship me some
Ube
ube
products,
jam.
yes.
So just to keep up with orders.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it seems minuscule, but like for a food business, that's such a like,
Yeah.
you know, you can't substitute ube extract,
Yeah.
right? You know, but we were able to get through it. You know, we had to kind of slow down the ordering and make people aware that we may not be able to quickly accommodate or always accommodate what they're requesting, though we have other flavors available. But I feel like, you know, we kind of pivoted that challenge well. The other end of it was we're a catering business. You know, how can we start catering during lockdown?
Yeah.
So the intention of our business is catering, since that's why it's in our name. However, we opened up as a like a dessert shop,
Like a bakery.
like a bakery,
Mhm.
because we couldn't cater. I mean, you know, I think takeout was kind of in that time. Takeout, even with other restaurants, they were trying to figure out how to maneuver takeout versus in-room dining when their main service was in-room dining. But we did really well with the dessert shop and baked pastries. So and now we're just moving it. Now that everything's opening up, we're trying to push our catering services now.
Well, also the a dovetail off what Jennifer said during the pandemic. You know, we weren't doing catering, so we were doing baked goods, a lot of baked goods. I found a lot of challenges shipping.
Yeah.
You know, I mean the mail service was really taking too long. You know, and we found out later why they were taking too long. But I mean, regardless, I mean those were our challenges at the beginning. Was how do we start a catering business during a pandemic, and how can we navigate ourselves to really get ourselves out there without doing catering, but really figuring out a way to really try allow people to try our product. So I mean that was that challenge in the beginning, really trying to find that balance. But I mean, again, I just feel like anything, you'll definitely, you know, with any business, you'll definitely find challenges. But if you look at it in a very positive way, you just look at it as something that's an opportunity that you can really look at and say, hey, you know what, let's shift our thinking, and let's try something different. You know, I mean, what else do we have to lose? You know,
Right.
that's the one thing that kept going in my mind every single time. It's like, okay, you know, we're already risking a lot of things, just what else do we have to lose? You know, that was the one thing that kept playing in my mind during the pandemic. And I believe it just kept my mind just really focused on and driving on really what we really think will definitely work for our company.
You know, what I appreciate about what you're saying is both of you have this wonderful talent in regards to what you've done with food.
Mhm.
And then when I hear you speaking, you seem to have such an affinity and a value in regards to business in and of itself. You know, you're talking about what it is that you could be setting up your business for success, and also about the marketing of the business. And we talked about distribution and delivery and some of those things. So, two questions for you. One is, what were steps that you took to help you ready for the business side of what you're doing? And then, you know, what is it that you familiarize? How do you stay in a learning space for making
Mhm.
the business of what you do better?
Mm.
To answer the way in regards to preparation, um, we actually started okay, so I'm going to take you guys back. So when the first time we met, which was 12 years
Yeah,
ago or
13 years
so,
ago, 13 years ago,
so
yeah.
we literally met having a drink in a bar after work one day, and we literally were talking about our hopes and dreams. And we
Wow.
both shared how we wanted to run and operate our own business.
Wow.
So it's kind of like we had the same hopes and dreams, and we just combined it. So in some downtime, you know, in 2019, you know, I knew that, you know, it's coming a time for us to start really developing and pushing toward our business. So I did prepare a business plan. Like we both prepared a business plan and we started working on it. And that was done by January, February of 2020. And we launched March 2020. So a lot, I was fortunate enough to have the time and energy to put all those things in place as far as preparation. And I really have to say, our professional experience, even though it's hotel, but we've worked at hotels, we worked at restaurants, I worked at a bank.
We were in colleges as well.
We've volunteering with different nonprofit organizations. Combining all that experience and knowledge and just applying it as it works well has really felt like what prepared us. And I work in sales. I've worked in sales, so I really was in tune to, knowing customers, knowing the clients, really trying to be able to market to them, but also maintaining our voice, our authenticity. I'm not what we share, in conversations like this. I'm not saying things just to say. I'm saying it because it's true. This is like how we really feel, about community and our food and why we want to share our food. And I just want to, and I feel like I hope that comes off I hope that comes off that we're very authentic and we're not saying things just to say it. But I feel like that's my years of sales experience and training has really help us prepare with the opening of the business. I mean, and the operation side, I don't know what it's like to work in a kitchen, so and I don't want to. So.
Well, and also I'll be honest with you. I mean, working in big corporations and hotels actually prepared us because as a chef, I wasn't cooking anymore. I was more in line of really managing a kitchen. So that's where I learned the business side of the kitchen side, the administrative process of it too. And then again, it's all about connections in the hotel. The one great thing is we kept all our connections in the hotel. Jennifer has different connections in different organizations, whether it be in collegiate studies or whether it be in just in different businesses. So we're able to keep connections with them. And that's what actually helped us along the way too, is we got support from them as well, so I just think what prepared us really was really making sure that we were as we were working the corporate side, learning those strategic ways of really growing a bigger business, but now we're utilizing that strategy to really grow our small business.
Yeah. Well, you can tell it makes sense with what you've said, because you can tell that there is a background in regards to a business acumen.
And there's a lot of great points that you brought up. The first is just documenting the business plan. We often run into new owners who don't do that. And truly, there's a discipline in documenting, whether it's your business plan or your processes. We haven't talked about goal development, but you should be documenting your goals. You should be really trying to clearly identify what they are and the milestones and objectives you need to be able to achieve them. And then one other point that I want to bring out that will really help the audience is that we talk a lot about strategic thinking and execution planning. And that's different than just strategic planning. I'm come from an old school that strategic planning, you did a plan and then you put it on a shelf and then you stated, well, we have a plan. You don't really execute it. So our nomenclature for it now is strategic thinking, execution planning, where you really take the time to strategically think how you're going to position your business through different time periods going forward. And then you build and you document an execution plan where you actually have milestones that are achievable, but that will hold you accountable for that progression. Becomes really important. So even in your early stages in the business life, if you aren't doing it now, we encourage you to do it. And this is a tip for the audience, is that do quarterly planning. Make sure that you set aside the time to do it. And then and that you also set aside the time to do an annual plan, you document it, and it's tied to the resources that are required, and that those resources are called a budget and a forecast.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
a lot of the small businesses won't do that either, and then they
Yes.
don't have a great idea of what their cash flow is, you
Hmm.
know, from a day-to-day basis, and that's how they get into trouble.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Agreed.
Well, I know
Fortunately,
Good.
go ahead.
sorry. I mean, working in sales, like I was very familiar with budget, and because that was part of my responsibility, is to make sure our department is
Mm.
reaching the budget.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure, same thing with Carlo.
Looking through P&Ls,
Yeah. So,
especially in the kitchen, we again budget was the main key. I mean, you have to keep your food below 20% food costs, and
Right.
that's the balancing act. What's waste? What's reusable? What's overproduction? Those are things that kept going in our mind, and again, that's drilling every single time with our business. And I think that's one thing I guess we have. A great deal of knowledge of, because we did work in that kind of industry, and again, like I said, we were able to utilize it as we're growing this business. So it does definitely work out for us.
and I have to share real quick. I did do a preliminary budget pre-COVID, and I went back. I was reviewing the revenues that I estimated. We came in over our budget at,
Yes, yes,
first. Yeah,
yeah,
I was really impressed, and I was
yes,
so
yes.
happy. I mean, maybe I undercut,
Yes.
but it's like
Yeah.
what are we gonna do in a pandemic?
It's so
Yeah.
hard to judge a business not even 1 year, right? I mean that's
And it was just so many different
yeah,
factors.
exactly. So
So
we
it
had
was really, yeah. And
Yeah.
and it's such a great thing to see, is like when you
Yeah.
look at your budget and you're like, wow, you're hitting those revenues,
Mhm.
you're saving way more on your expenses. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
such a boost of
Yeah.
self-esteem to me.
And
Like,
again,
you're
yeah,
doing something
exactly.
right.
And again, like you said, Paul, I mean, those are the milestones,
Yeah.
right? Those are the milestones that we definitely want to celebrate, and that's the things that we really encourage people to really see. That's what encourages us all the time, whether it's a negative or positive. I think that's where you really reevaluate
Yeah.
what you're doing right or wrong.
Yeah.
So again, numbers don't lie, and then that's the one thing that we've learned every single time. And yeah, I mean, like you said, celebrating those milestones, that really creates more incentive to your business, because then you understand that your business is flourishing, your business is growing, and then, like you said, you set those goals. I mean, at that time, maybe it might not have been reachable, but you reached it. So I mean, that's a great feeling.
Boy,
Yeah.
you guys, your words are music to our ears, and we see business coaches in the making, for sure. How can people find out more about your business and go to your website? What can they do to get a hold of you too?
Oh, yeah. Well, they could definitely visit our website. It's calajola.com. So it's CALAJOLA.com. So all of our menu, our catering, our bakery menu, you could inquire with us. You could order through online as well.
Even our events where we're popping
Yeah,
up,
you
we
can
do a lot
also
of
see
pop-ups.
where
You can see it there
we'll
too.
be popping up. That is our first and foremost source of, our sources for information. I go on our website daily to make sure it's updated. And we'd love for everyone to follow us on social media. We're on Facebook. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. Gotta have your LinkedIn. And Pinterest. And it's Calajo Catering LA. There's links on our website to our social media platforms as well. And you can call us at 661-513-3165, I believe. And you can also text that phone number as well.
Yes.
So,
And again, all the information is definitely on our website. So if you really want to even read our story, and definitely look at the pictures of our desserts and baked stuff, we definitely have it on our website.
if you want to watch us dance, follow us on TikTok.
Well, thank you so much. This really has been a lot of fun. We encourage our listeners
Thank
to
you.
follow you, go to your website. There's a news story on there. There's a great story in regards to your why. You're right. The pictures of the food. So salivating before we got on the call with you. But We encourage our listeners to visit your website, and thank you so much. And we
Thank
also
you.
encourage our listeners, if you've been inspired by this conversation, you can tell with their backgrounds that it's so heavy in regards to, you talked 12 or 13 years ago, having that drink and talking about your dreams. And it's the heart of an entrepreneur.
And having kids afterwards
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so we encourage you also to visit our website at onetruenorthcoach.com. There's a lot of information you can get there if you're a business owner and organizational leader. We have a COVID-19 resource page. We encourage you to take us up on our offer that Paul announced at the beginning of the conversation in regards to the business health checkup, and also to consider contacting us in regards to your executive team facilitation and development needs, one-on-one group business coaching, annual and quarterly planning, assessments such as how to better communicate and motivate, and emotional intelligence. So find out more by visiting our website, onetruenorthcoach.com, and we look forward to our next conversation. And thanks for joining us today.
Thanks,
you.
folks.
Thank you.